Hello, everyone. My name is Josh. I am the co-founder of List Easier, the document, which is a daily live stream that we do. For the most part, tomorrow is going to be a pre-recorded broadcast, and we'll talk about that later. But every day I do this live stream every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 9 a.m. Pacific, 1 o'clock Atlantic. And we talk about business, what's going on. We talk about this business, the document. This is us building our own e-commerce business using our own List Easier software, of which I'm also the co-founder of. There are three of us. And I have been an entrepreneur on eBay and still am an entrepreneur on eBay. We work very closely with eBay. I resell on eBay. I sell things. I brand. I have my own Shopify account. I do this YouTube. So this is my space and I love it. And these are my people, and my people are in the live chat right now with me. So I have to go find my own live. And we do that by clicking some buttons and ensuring that the volume is off. Sometimes it takes a little bit of work here, but we get space there, and I love it. There we are. When you hear the voice talking, that's when we know we're on our own live. People are starting to come in. There are 2 shows scheduled. Well, that's not good. You know why that is, Snoopy? Because I went to go set up the broadcast, and the first one, it wouldn't allow it. It said no. So I had to try it again, which is now telling me that I've got 2 shows scheduled. So that's not good. So the first one, sorry everyone, I'm going to delete it. And we only have the live one, which is me. Okay, taken care of. Thank you, Snoopy. Appreciate you for that. It's a good thing I'm not filming off my phone, so I can actually deal with those sorts of things. But yeah, so that's who I am. This is our group. This is our crew down here. A bunch of business owners in the chat, and we talk about what's going on, like what's working, what's not working, all these other things, how we can scale our businesses and escape the matrix a little bit. I did a video on that, which I'll be launching tomorrow, and that is about treating your business like an asset and keeping up and ahead of inflation, which is very important. So I did a video on that where I talked, which was honestly a little bit difficult because the warehouse was still buzzing. So when I'm here right now doing this broadcast live, everybody else goes for lunch. In that case, everyone's still working, so you can hear all the chatter and everything else going on, and I'm trying to stay focused for you guys. So hopefully you enjoy tomorrow's video. What's going on? What's new in this business? So the latest thing is, of course, we're waiting for this trailer to arrive. We need the stuff to come in so we can get it listed. So we're waiting for that stuff to arrive. It should be soon. I don't know if it's going to be tomorrow or Friday, but should be soon. We have enough work until probably the end of next week, so we do need it before then. It's just everything is getting listed so quickly. Spencer the Oracle has been working on listing cassettes. You may not see those cassettes on the US store. We are going to list them primarily on the Canadian site. So they may not be visible to the US. We won't probably ship those to the US, and I'll tell you why. The number one reason is most of these are very rare one-off Canadian jigs from the East Coast. So, Newfoundland, like self-produced titles from the 70s and the 80s, very rare, unique stuff. And those will pretty much only sell in Canada. So we just put them on the Canadian website, and it's a little bit less of a headache. It's just domestic shipping. So that just reminds me that I probably, in that case, since those are going up on the Canadian site, I do need an HST number. I should apply for one. Mental note. Still need that HST number, Josh. So that's what's happening there, but those will be included in the total listed and the number of listings as those go up. That listing is happening today. The big deal starting to flow in hopefully this week. And those are the things that have changed in the business. And then tomorrow, of course, too, we're away on a business meeting, and it just happens to be at the same time that we're doing the document live. So to show you that we're here and we're always here, I'm doing a pre-recorded video. We're going to launch it tomorrow at the same time. Let's go through some numbers. Let's go through some numbers. We have 2 accounts. list easier underscore records and list easier underscore books. Those are on eBay. You can follow us if you wish by clicking us as your saved sellers on eBay. We have 6,906 listings live on those two accounts, $173,206 in listed inventory. We've been live for 31 days, and the revenue is $7,825.65. Very happy with the way everything is going. Again, this is very good forward progress. So within the first month, we have already generated $7,800 in revenue. We're very happy with that. This will bleed into the topic. We understand that this is a marathon, not a sprint. Many of us, all of us, all three co-founders have been in business for a long time. We have multiple businesses. So we understand the process here. You are running, it's not even a marathon. You run and you just run. That's what business is. It's like, okay, go. They don't tell you the direction, anything. You just go running and you never ever stop. That's what business is. But the journey starts with one step. So we understand that we are in the first step. So if you look at this number, 173,000, and you were to say, okay, you did that in 1 month, and then you were to scale it out over 9 years, of course it wouldn't work. We wouldn't hit our targets of 100 million listed. But you have to understand that this will scale almost like a parabola towards the end as we build more systems and we generate more income and we have that positive cash flow coming in as systems scale. So a lot of that growth happens towards the end. We're aware of that. We've been doing this a long time. But also, I want to say this as, this is also for all of you with your businesses. There are many of us out there who have tasks that need to be completed, and they seem like big tasks, like I really should go through that shelf, or I really need to deal with that pile of inventory, or I really need to get started on my taxes. These seem like big, big, big tasks. But, if you've read Atomic Habits, like the way to deal with this is just take one step. You know what? I'm just going to go over there and touch this stuff on that shelf. Once you get started, it's not that big of a deal. You'll get through it. You just got to keep going. As Steve Vash, I'm going to say to Steve Vash, who has this 20-year death pile, he's like, I'm dealing with it now. Or Missy B, who says, I've got all these things. I'm dealing with it now. I'm moving this stuff along. And one day at a time, and eventually it's all gone. I had it with my stereo views, huge, huge piles of stereo views. And one day at a time, they all go. The records, all these records, there's a U-Haul full of records. It's listed. 7,000 listings. You take it one step at a time. One step at a time. Remove the mental barrier of this is a monumental task, and you just take one step at a time. I think that the benefit of having had multiple businesses is that, like for us, we can see the palace. We know where we're going. We just know that we're very early in the journey. So everything else becomes noise, and signal is the empire at the end. We see it. The podcast tomorrow is largely about treating your business as an asset and not a liability, and inflation. And I don't want to touch upon that too much, but I do want to say that topic was inspired by seeing so many people, and I'm going to reiterate this tomorrow, spending a huge portion of their life accumulating what they think are assets, their death pile. And I've been hammering this death pile thing for a long time, but they're accumulating assets, and they say, this will pay my retirement, this will pay my kids' university, this will pay for a vacation, it'll pay for a second home. But the problem is it doesn't, because they never list it. It never moves. It just gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And eventually the mental load becomes so much that you just want it out of there. So you've lived now your entire life creating this liability, treating your business as a liability, and then dumping it off to someone else who captures all the profit without doing any of the work. You worked for them for free. That's the danger. That's your hard work You found that stuff. You capture the profit. Keep growing your business or do something with the money, but get it moving along. And that's what tomorrow's video is about. But it is just taking the first step many times, especially on tasks that appear monumental. It's just taking the first step. Taking the first step. So for many people, if you look at pain points, these look like monumental pain points. It is listing processes. That's the number one thing. I've got all this stuff, but it's a pain to list. It is emotionally draining. It is repetitive. It is a cost constraint because it takes so long, and it's time consuming. Those four things. So they don't list it. Then an opportunity comes along to list these things, and they don't want to do that either. This is most people not doing that. I'll do it myself. I can take care of it myself. That is treating your business like a liability. So, and it's really, when you see people in the chat and you see how well I gotta watch this. I don't want to sound like I'm selling or anything, but you see how easy it is. You just want to be like holding their hand and showing them like, you can do this. You can get out of this. It will happen very quickly. But anyway, it is what it is. But yeah, everything takes it just one step forward. Even if, even if you don't ever want to use any listing software, who cares? Don't even use it. Doesn't really matter. Then don't. Get the stuff going one at a time. If you can only do 5 a day out of that pile, don't worry about what everyone else is saying in here, what they're listing this now. Do the 5 at a time. You will naturally get better. You'll get to 6, 7, 10 a day, 15 a day. And before you know it, you'll get through all that stuff. Just take the steps. What feels unfair is that someone else can capture the profit on this massive, what is supposed to be an asset, but it's really a liability, because the reason why that pile becomes a liability if you never list it, if you never touch it, the reason why is you spent all this time finding it and money and struggling and knowing it has value only to give it to someone else who will take care of the profit for you. It's like, thank you for being my free worker. I will capture all the profit. We buy these big deals from people who were gonna get around to it. Time moves on. 80 years old. I don't want to leave this mess to people. Give me $1,000 for it. It doesn't feel fair, in many ways. So capture it yourself. You're all business owners. Get the money, get paid. And then decide once you're paid, hey, is this a lever I want to keep pulling? Do I want to continue to make money this way? Or do you say to yourself, thankfully, I'm unburdened by all this. I never want to do this again. One or the other. But don't have the emotional decision to get rid of everything because you just don't want to see it anymore. Because then, you work for somebody else that entire time for free. You paid to work for somebody else for free. Okay, so that's my talk, my pep talk, and admittedly a bit of a downer, but this one person that reached out, and I'm probably going to say it again tomorrow on tomorrow's pre-recorded broadcast, that they had 100,000 CDs and they just got rid of it for next to nothing because they just didn't have the time or couldn't be bothered to list it. And I am, and financially struggling. And I'm like, that is $1 million worth of asset. You literally gave someone $1 million for like $500 or $1,000. $1 million worth of listed product. It would have solved all your problems. But you accumulated to the point that you felt overwhelmed and you dumped it all. It's so bothersome because you got half the process right, but not the second half. It didn't have to be like that. It's so deeply frustrating. It's not what you want for people. And really the way to deal with that $100,000 or 100,000 item pile is one step at a time. It's like eating an elephant, one bite at a time, running a marathon, one step at a time, 1 mile at a time. You don't think to yourself when you run the marathon, how do I complete the last mile? Let's focus on finishing the first mile. taking the first steps, tying your shoes in the first place. These are the things you have to worry about, and then move on to the next step and the next step and just keep going. So every marathon starts with a step, everyone. That is my talk for today. I'm going to say hello to everybody. Snoopy Collector, hello. Eric Bressy, Classic Phase, Flip It Good, Junk Boy Thrift. Good to see you all. Bearded Picker says, Josh, the document, Galt. What up, eh? How's it going, eh? Good to see you, Scott. John J. UK says, evening, Squire. Good evening to you. M. Cole says, good morning, Josh. The List Easier dashboard graph didn't update my listing numbers yesterday. Is that a bug? No, I don't think so. No one's reported that one, M. Cole. When you log into List Easier, just make sure the first thing to do, M. Cole, is just make sure your browser isn't holding old cache. So if you see something like that where the numbers didn't update, it could be that your browser is hanging on to yesterday's information. Just do a Control-Shift-R and see if that refreshes it. If that's not the case, I mean, that should be, because we pull the data right out of your listings, your finished batches. So that might be the problem. Missy B says, Josh the Doc. If we say Josh the Doc, Missy, people are going to accuse me of stolen valor, that I'm pretending to be a doctor, even though I'm not. Lag says, hello to you, Lag. Missy says, good morning to you. Den Decor Depot says, high noon at the List Easier Saloon. That's it, yeah. Well, I'll have a drink of coffee. Diane Vanderlinden says, hey, here, but doing other stuff. That's a good thing, Diane. That's a sign of success, so keep going. Keep going. Just Beth Cooking says, hello, everyone. Yacht Rock and List Easier today. Can't get any better. Awesome. I love listening to Yacht Rock. A little bit of Christopher Cross going on in the background. I'm totally down for that. If they're not playing Christopher Cross, it's not Yacht Rock. John J. UK says, question, is the Flex AI different to the Batch AI? When I use Flex, the listings generated are in correct UK format in both title and item specifics. But when using batches, it generates USA terms like gray, fall, etc. It's really annoying having to change it. Yes, the answer is yes, John J. UK, and this is a great observation. So, when we built batches and when we built Flex, we built two separate platforms, essentially. Think of it as two separate platforms. The reason why is one is context-driven and one is not. They're both computer vision, but one is computer vision with context. The other one is just strictly computer vision, which is the Flex one. So you're giving it a picture. You're saying, do all the work. So totally different backend, totally different system and process occurring there. So when we launched Flex, when we launched Batch originally, we launched it for the US market without really the intention at the time, not the intention or the forefront of mind at the time was to build this for the US. So we built all the backend, everything for the US. When Flex rolled around, we were already ready to launch to Australia, the UK, and we had already launched to Canada, which is similar English as UK English and Australian English. So that system was built differently. But essentially, you have two different websites operating on the same website. Two different engines in the same car. Eventually, John Jay, and this is something that is being worked on, you're going to see a migration so that it's all operating on one engine. So Batch will, all that stuff that you're seeing in Batch, different language and everything else, eventually you'll see that roll in so that it's the same engine. Workflow won't change on batches. Many of you rely on workflow from us, right? You have built your workflow, your systems, you rely on us. That won't change. But added features will occur or will be implemented, like price easier, auctions, things that you all have been asking for. And of course, you're going to see correct UK format in batches. So we're working on that. We know that that's out there and we're working on that. Eric Gunta says, I like that name, Bearded Picker, Travis the Brain, Super Dave, Spencer the Oracle, and Josh the Document. Josh the document. The team is now complete. I'll take it. Yeah, I'll take it. Josh the document. I have no problem with that. Beard King Picker Alex says, what's up? How's it going, eh? Alex, it's good to see you. Welcome. How are sales? How's everything going? I don't see you anymore because you're not on the live broadcast anymore. I don't see those. What happened to your show? Where did all those guys go? You guys got to come back. You got to have a comeback special or get together special. Lag says, Josh, are you talking about someone we know? I don't know, Lag. I don't think so. I mean, I'm sure there are people who are in that situation. This person reached out, and this was early on when we first kind of launched. This was like within a few months of us launching, and the person had, I feel bad. I don't want to out anybody, but this so deeply disturbed me and bothered me because this was exactly the person we're building the software for. But we had launched, they had signed up, and we had noticed that, this person signed up and they were getting billed, but they weren't actually using the software. So I reached out and I said, hey, do you need some help? I noticed you haven't been using it. Is there any way I can help you out and, show you what's going on? And they said, well, it'd be nice for a video or something. So I sent them a video. I still noticed no activity on their account. So reach out again. I'm like, did you check the video out? What's going on? And they said, look, I'd love to use it. I just don't have the time. Things are financially constrained right now. I have 100,000 CDs. I wanted to list them, but just the pressure of finances and everything else, I just want to get rid of it, and I don't ever want to deal with it again. So I'm going to cancel my membership, and I'm just that's it. I don't want to deal with this stuff anymore. And it deeply bothered me. I'm going to be honest, because I know that most of their problems would have been solved had they just listed that stuff. And also, this person very clearly had worked hard to accumulate this stuff and spent a lot of time and money doing it. And they never just finished the last step, which would have taken care of all these other problems. And it just bothered me. It just, I don't like, what isn't fair is someone working very, very hard to build themselves a future and then just kind of giving up at the wrong time, and then someone else capturing all the profit on that. I know that's how it works. I know that's how it works. It's part of the cycle, but it deeply bothered me because I was like, I'll do it for you. That's how I felt. I'm like, I'll drive there and do it for you. I will, 2 days. Let me stay in your basement. I will drive there. I will list as much as I can day and night for you just to show you that it works. And then you take it from there. And I promise you it'll work out. So anyway, it bothered me. It still bothers me to this day. Probably, if you've been watching this channel for a long time, you've probably heard me bring the story up a bunch of different times because it just, there's someone who probably needed a couple $1,000 and they threw away $1 million. It bothers me deeply. Feels really unfair. Bearded Picker says to Beard King Picker, good morning, imposter beard. Lag says, why would anyone eat an elephant? Have you ever had elephant before? Barbecued elephant. MK says, greetings. Michelle, greetings to you. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you. Tube Addict says, hi, Josh. Wow, it's been a couple days since I watched this show, and quite ironic you started with the asset or liability topic. That's something I'm struggling with lately. Thanks for the encouragement. Yeah, we gotta be emotionally kind of shut off. That's an important thing that we have to be. The psychology of business is like a major driving factor on for many different reasons. This is why I have a picture of, above my desk in my office, I have a picture of Tom Berenger playing Sergeant Barnes in the movie Platoon, and he's just got this deadpan, 100-yard stare, scars all over his face. And I have that picture because I have to remind myself sometimes that I need to harden my mind from some of the emotional feelings that I have when working, where I get frustrated or whatever, and I look up at that, and I'm like, you got to steal it. You got to make it hard And you got to focus on what the logical decision is, not the emotional decision. So the emotional decision is, I am sick and tired of looking at this. I'm not going to deal with it. I just want it gone. That's an emotional decision. The logical decision is, there's $50,000, there's $100,000 here. All I have to do is touch it. Touch it and bring one piece over to the camera and take the photo. That's all you got to do. Don't think about the mountain. Don't think about the garage full. Walk in there and take one piece. Take a photo. Put it in a box. Just do it once. It's like Lay's potato chips. I bet you can't just eat one. You'll do it a second time, and a third time, and a fourth time, and a fifth. And eventually you just keep going. It becomes part of your routine, but you got to get that mental block. It is an asset. That pile is an asset. The question is it yours or somebody else's? Are you going to capture the value of it, or are you going to give it to someone else, like someone like me, because we buy these big deals? And every single time it's the same thing. They're like, well, I was meaning to list it, or I was going to bring this stuff to the flea market, but it got too heavy, or it just became too much. I got to carry it up and down the stairs, or the walls are coming in on me, or, I'm not going to be around forever and my kids don't want to deal with it. That pile could have been a family vacation. It could have helped you grow your business. It can wipe out debt that you owe. Like, that's what that's there for. If you give it away, all the stress and liability still exists, but you never capture the profit or the asset value. This is what I'm talking about tomorrow, so I'm ruining tomorrow's show a little bit. But too bad, I get it. I had to go through this myself, where I had a whole pile of crap. I call it crap because it was things I didn't want to deal with. Like nice lamps didn't work. They needed to be rewired. Items that were broken, scratched, all these other things, stuff that needed to be cleaned, shoes. I'd have one shoe because only one showed up and I was waiting for the other one to show up somehow, and I'd pair them together, but it's never going to happen. All this stuff. And I decided nothing else gets listed in my business. This is a few years ago, until I touch each one of those items. And from now on, I'm only allowed to touch those items once. So when I grab the item, if it's not going under the camera, it's donated. That's it. It's gone. And it was very freeing. And also, the pile of crap that I thought I had, I captured like $10,000 or $15,000 out of it. So I did take value from it. The difference is, between now and then it would have taken me a week or two to list it. Now I can do it in a few days. So that that whole time frame is compressed. But you put in the hard work, you capture the value from it. Those are your profits. Don't give it to anybody else. That is a big mistake. In its flip, it says, is anyone else having major chat GPT issues right now? I think they're probably, in it to flip it, slowing it down to get people to subscribe, would be my guess. I think they're slowing ChatGPT down for any free users to force you to get on the Go plan so they can start earning some money. Because at enterprise level, it's fast and better than ever. Philly Flipper, how's it going, Paul? Good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I haven't looked at your store in a while. How are things going with you, Paul? Also, everyone, send Paul congratulations. He's getting married. Him and Maria are getting married. That's huge news. Big proposal on screen. So good for you both. Both great people. Cindy, where Pigs Fly Farm, says, love your dedication and motivating daily talks. Thank you. You're welcome, Cindy. I do believe all these things. It's coming from a genuine place. A lot of times the people that I see that are operating businesses that I'm like a little bit envious of, I'm like, you've achieved something that I'd like to achieve someday. Those people just have tenacity and grit and the discipline to keep going and to do the things sometimes that they don't want to do. Like working in an operational sink for a long period of time, but you've got to do those things, because if you don't, it's going to screw everything up. Like, things are going to come apart. For us, as like a microcosm of how we exist in our businesses, that to me is the death pile. Always the counter argument is that that pile of stuff there's a lot of value there. It's only going up in value, but it doesn't matter if you don't capture it. As you get older, as you move past 50, things get harder, not easier. And the more you accumulate, the more difficult it will become to deal with it. And the years fly by. There's so many people I talk to who have piles of stuff that they've been accumulating for 20 years. And I'm going to deal with it, but it only gets bigger and bigger and bigger. At the end of the 20 years, there's hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of stuff there. That's your money. You deserve that. You worked for that. Get it, JR Road Effort, good to see you, says, how is support doing on the indexing problem in Flex? No Flex listings are counted in Flex, but they are showing up on eBay. Dave is aware. Maybe a weird on my type on account thing. Dave, if Dave is aware, they're working on it. If Dave is aware, they are working on it. Indexing on Flex. Dave might even be watching this broadcast right now, but if Dave is aware, then they are working on it. Nothing goes by unfixed. Beard King Picker. So JR, let me talk to Dave and I'll see what's going on. Beard King Picker says, I don't know where they went, but I'm here though. Fair enough. Behind the Bubble Wrap says, howdy folks. We spoke on email the other day. Good to see you behind the Bubble Wrap. Bubble. I almost stuttered through that. Bearded Picker says, someone forgot to lock the door and Paul snuck in. Kaloop, hey Josh, driving to my parents to pick up my parcels since I live in a flat. eBay up 150%. Kaloop, you're in the UK. You are dominating the UK. Kaloop is creating anarchy in the UK. You're taking your little, I don't know. It's like the ring. You've got the ring of power, and you are running with it. So good for you. That is awesome. Paul says, I'm here and I'm not leaving to Beard. Southern Vermont says, you are a good person. Thank you, Southern Vermont. I appreciate you. Elephant sounds leathery. Yeah, have you guys ever heard that saying? I don't know if it's a strictly Canadian thing, but you say, how do you eat an elephant? And the answer is one bite at a time. How do you run a marathon? One step at a time. And that to me resonates. It resonates because it's very true. I have friends of mine who say they're so ambitious and frustrated. I want to build this business. I want to do this, but it takes time. You got to put your steps in. It takes time. You don't start at the top. You got to build the foundation. It takes time. And the only way to do that is just start and do it and take it day by day by day by day. And then after years of this, you don't even realize what you've created. It's incredible. If 5 years ago, in that little tiny warehouse were to watch 5 years later, I wouldn't believe it. I wouldn't even believe it. First of all, I'd be like, Josh, go start running more. That's what younger me would say. Get on that treadmill, run. But I would say, I can't believe this, that's 5 years ago. This is the dream, but you just got to keep going. You got to keep working and doing it and working towards that goal. One step at a time. Nobody starts at the top. Yeah, Paul Philly Flipper says, I'm a professional eBayer now, thanks to List Easier. That's awesome, Paul. That's awesome. We have some really big accounts that are using List Easier. This has happened within the past couple of weeks. So there are changes that we have to make, over time. This is going to become more apparent, but with the bigger accounts, and you will all start hearing about this over time, but with the bigger accounts, it is, I have sometimes questions or customer service things or customer support where people will say, Josh, it doesn't really work for me. I don't know. Like I tried, it doesn't really work for me. I'm not going to put too much effort into it. And I just want to scream from the mountaintop. Like, you don't understand. These huge accounts are using it. Like, where we have to create custom pricing plans for them because they are so big. If it works for them, it will work for you. Please just give it time and try. That's what I say. And Paul, Philly Flipper, who I consider a friend, he was done with eBay. So Paul understood, as many business owners do, that you have this big, huge moat of problems that prevents you from generating income on eBay. And those are basically the same four things. Listing is repetitive, it's time consuming, it's energy draining, and it's revenue blocking. And it takes so long that is a big problem. The software compresses that into it's not hard anymore. Well, if it's revenue blocking, it's no longer revenue blocking. Now it's revenue generating. That's why I say List Easier is quickly becoming the number one growth driver for eBay resellers. It's a bold statement to make, but it's true. Because it's compressing the most painful part of the process. eBay itself, I said this the other day, but eBay itself is, if you want to liken this to real estate, eBay gives you all a plot of land. They give you all the materials you need to build your house. They give you the blueprint on how to build the house. eBay does all that. The only thing they don't give you is the labor. So List Easier then becomes the labor. And as long as List Easier is building good houses, eBay's happy, the house owners are happy, everyone's happy. It works, and that's why that system works. Because literally become the labor on someone else's infrastructure, eBay's infrastructure. Chicken Toad, good to see you, says, paid ChatGPT user here, and it's not working for me either. Interesting, Chicken Toad. Well, that's not good. That is not good. I didn't go on to ChatGPT today. Thank you for saying that, Chicken Toad. That's not good. Den Decor Depot says Photo Room is chugging today too. Everything's slowed down. What's going on? We have another server problem across the world somewhere. Is there a solar flare? What's happening? In its flip, it says, thank you so much. I refreshed, restarted, and it's driving me crazy. Now I know it's not just me. Chicken to, okay, this is to ChatGPT. Pitco Keith says, hello, Josh and chat. Good to see you, mate. That's my best impression of a British accent. Eric Bressy saying hello. Pitco says, I might dominate UK if Josh launches in the UK. Pitco, we launched a long time ago in the UK. UK, we're already a month in with UK List Easier. UK List Easier is a month old. Kloop is already up 150%. He's running away with the ball. Kloop, why didn't you tell him? James says it's blue shirt guy. I wore this shirt yesterday. And it's now a little bit like it looks a little bit wrinkled or whatever, but I am blue shirt guy. This particular shirt, this color, I don't know. I just like it. I like this light blue. I have like 10 of these. It's like my favorite kind of color. This one my least because I don't like how the collar flares, but that's neither here nor there. Please don't eat elephants. They're too smart. Lag, I will no longer eat elephants. Excuse me. James says I need to exercise more. Where is the warm weather, especially now that I have time? Yeah, I get on the treadmill now. I really have to. So I've been so, like, things have been so busy and I feel tired, with the Flex launch. I was doing a lot of calls overnight, working early. I was going to bed mostly on time, but sometimes late. But that whole schedule was a lot. And I just like, you know what, I got to look after myself. So I don't need to be eating junk and I need to be exercising more. I still feel good. I feel athletic. Like I'm coaching my son's baseball team and feel like I've got the same energy as the kids, and I'm catching and throwing and doing all the things, but I don't like the way I look, so I gotta make some changes. And one step at a time. So that's all you can do. Philly Flipper says, yeah, eBay owes Josh a lot of money for all the sales I'm giving them. I think here, this hat that's the latest number, $200 million worth of product listed to eBay through List Easier. That's incredible. So that will account for $40 million worth of revenue down the line for eBay if all that stuff gets sold. So it's definitely, it benefits everyone. And I'm very confident in this business. It really dramatically helps eBay sellers. It's good for eBay. It's good for the ecosystem. Also, I want to say I fully believe that the whole narrative has changed, because it's really hard to be downbeat and be like, eBay sucks, I hate this, I hate that, when you're making a lot of money, or when all of a sudden it's not hard to do anymore. Like, it was really difficult, and now it's not that difficult anymore. So that even the narrative, the whole narrative has changed. Unless you're on Facebook. If you are on Facebook, it's tens of thousands of Eeyores that don't seem to know that the environment has changed. They're living that old, it's horrible, it's never going to get better. It's actually pretty amazing right now. James says, did he say Paul just as I typed? Good to see you, Philly Flipper. Much better than the hater days. Haters are gone. We destroyed haters, all of us. All of us in the chat, all of us. And how it was done is they wanted failure for every single one of you. They wanted failure. Miserable, they were struggling, blah, 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 blah. They put the poison and toxicity out of there, and they wanted failure, and we all persevered. And now the environment has changed, and all of a sudden we have this opportunity to run away with the ball like Kaloop is, and that negativity is gone. And while for Paul, James, all of these people, me, all of us, those people are still watching these videos and they're seething, because that means they were wrong. And you're doing the things you wanted to do, and you're achieving the goals you wanted to achieve, and they specifically told you not. That wasn't possible. You couldn't do that. And now you're doing it. And they're seething on the other side of that camera. It burns them up. Because had they just done what you did, they would also be realizing this. But they chose not to. So they spit poison at you instead, and this is your vengeance. Rin Resale says, Philly Flipper getting lectured by a 600-pound man about greed is my personal definition of irony. So I don't know who the haters are. I don't to me, it doesn't really matter. It's all lumped into the same archetype of person. But what business is essentially our kind of business is buying and selling at a profit. If the business model didn't work, people wouldn't be doing it. So if it did not work, people wouldn't be doing it. But the fact that people do it profitably, they scale into bigger businesses, means it works. But you got to be ruthlessly in that top 10%. As you got to be the best. You got to do it. You got take those steps to do it. But the haters, hate always comes from below. It never comes from above. I have mentors in my life who I still consider mentors. One of them I'm going to see tomorrow. And these people never have ever crapped on me from above. First of all, they don't have the time. Why would they spend such a huge amount of time wasting it on being concerned over what I'm doing? Now, that's the first thing. The second thing is, since they've achieved something that you want to achieve, they know it's possible already. So they give you encouragement, or they'll unlock little secrets if you're willing to hear it. A big one for me that I heard from this person that we're meeting with tomorrow is every relationship in business has to provide value prop. You don't do things for free. We don't operate altruistically. It has to have value prop. If it doesn't, then you don't do it. Someone offers you $5 for an item and it costs you 10, don't sell it. There's no value prop. It only works for them. We're not a charity. We're businesses. And that was something he instilled in me, because I had the mentality where I kind of felt bad for people. So if people sent me this big long message about how they wanted a dinky toy car and the reasons why they could only pay $2 for it, I felt bad for them and I'd sell it to them. And it would cost me money. And I'm like, Kate, I can't do that too often. That's a bad business decision. But I felt bad. Take a step back. They don't need the stupid car. They don't actually need it. And then when you go to your account, you see it and they resell it for the proper price. And you're like, oh, I was such an idiot, but I felt bad. So every decision in business has to have value prop. Not in your personal life necessarily. You can do things altruistically to build memories or whatever the case, friendships. But in business, it has to. So, a mentor taught me that, but he's never hated on me. If I struggled, he said, you'll get through it. You always do. I know you can make it work. You just got to unlock that thing inside you. Hate never comes from above. It always comes from below every single time. And it's usually coming from a place of jealousy, envy, or this scarcity idea that if Paul Philly Flipper does well, that means other people are losing. There's no abundance mindset. I went on a tangent there. Eric says, OpenAI says we're not aware of any issues affecting our systems. Maybe refresh. Pico says, wait, what the hell? I need a link. It's at listeasier.com. You just got to choose, Pico, the UK site. So check out, Keith, List Easier letter U on YouTube, and you'll see a video that went into production saying we are in the UK, and it will show you everything. So check that out if you want to. No pressure, of course. James says, on top of all the organization projects and all the types of stuff I have to list, I must make sure Scott Bearded Picker does not catch up to me on CDs. Laugh out loud. There you go. Andy Reno from Indiana says, elephant ears are great. How are you doing, Mr. Galt? I'm doing fine. Thank you, Andy. Appreciate you for being here. MF Jig says, how does this tool compare with regard to performance and efficiency to the eBay bulk listing tool? Side-by-side comparison to eBay, that's, okay, I'm just going to be 100% honest with you. I'm not comfortable with making that comparison, and I'll tell you why. We have a very strong working relationship and partnership with eBay. We build into the eBay ecosystem. So I don't want to, say these are the pros and these are the cons, because it's like biting the hand that feeds you. I will say this though. There's a misconception out there that eBay is lagging in tech, and I can tell you that is incorrect. eBay is at the forefront. eBay is first and foremost a tech company. They've pioneered the AI listing, the ability to AI list. They've also created the APIs so that companies like List Easier can also innovate. And they invite us into their ecosystem and say, if you can do these things at a high level, we want you to. If it benefits our customers and it benefits the eBay ecosystem, we want you to do these things. So innovate away, you're welcome to, but abide by the rules. And that's our relationship with eBay, which we're happy to have. So eBay is not a competitor to List Easier. We are not trying to replace anything that they're doing. We are saying thank you for giving us the ecosystem by which we can innovate. So we focus on innovation. eBay is not a competitor to us. So I hope that answered that question. Keith says, okay, I'm in List Easier. Thanks, Josh. Now you owe me a listing. A list easier UK edition hat. That'd be pretty cool. You know what I would like to do? I don't want to get you in trouble, but I'd like to have like the top hat Pitco with the Union Jack on it and then the list easier logo. Like if we're going to go UK, we're going big. Like we're going Britannia style. The big stovetop hat, UK Union Jack on it, and a list easier logo. We're going big if you're getting a UK edition hat, it's going to be insanely ridiculous. Den Decor says it's far more accurate and needs less tweaking. MF Jig says if it is more accurate in specific categories, are there any that are still being improved? So I'll answer this, MF Jig. List Easier is always being improved. So we are, we're leading in innovation and development. That's, we are a tech company. List Easier, the software, is a tech company. So we are pushing the innovation forward. Again, we're not comparing ourselves to anyone. I never talk about competitors like, any of the other people who are doing what we're doing. I don't talk about them. We are a leader in the innovation. eBay is infrastructure. It's the ecosystem. This is like, this is the Jedi Master. So we don't come in freshly born like Baby Yoda and then think that we are now, better than the Jedi Master. eBay's ecosystem has been developed over 30 years from the best minds that exist in Silicon Valley. Yes, people have come and gone, but it is, when you get to see behind the scenes, it's truly incredible what they have built. So our focus is to take that infrastructure and be like, hey, how can we make it better? Can we make it better? Can we do things that maybe eBay is constrained, right? Legally or for whatever reason? Can we do things to enhance that ecosystem? That's all we want to do. And make users more money. Make users more money. We're all in business to make money. I hope that answered your question, but yeah, every category is being improved because the ecosystem is constantly changing. So we have a lot of focus on offsite optimization. That was a thing that we've always been focused on. We've been speaking about offsite optimization since day one, when others were like, no, the focus is on cross-listing, and then we're seeing the results from optimization. So others are saying, no, we can optimize now too. That's neither here nor there. But optimization is a focus. The systems required to optimize are constantly changing because we are in a very fast-moving environment. So we have to constantly be innovating as well and changing our systems as well. So, and that's just the pace right now. If you're not keeping up, you're way behind. Stuff that we were working on a year ago, if that stuff was live, it would be, it's useless. A year ago, people were saying that AI listings won't even, it's not even going to be a thing. No one's going to use it. Why would they use it? It can't replace a human. That was a year ago, people said that. Now it is accepted that the businesses that are growing are using AI infrastructure. That's a year. That's insane how fast that's moved. Pico says, do it with the top hat. That's awesome. Or the stovepipe hat. CJ Beatty says, don't know what ChatGPT is slow, but yes, there has been a massive solar disruption. Sunspot 4366 is now Earth facing. I just checked Down Detector and OpenAI has a big outage spike at the moment. Didn't know that. That was a guess on my part. Foghorn Leg says, howdy all. Good to see you, Foghorn. Glad you're here. James Helfersay says, I'll say it, eBay's AI. It's not true. No, it's not true. James, honestly, eBay is constrained and restrained because all eyes are on eBay. Their databases and their systems it's truly incredible. The fact that they can move as seamlessly as they do, for being such a large company is incredible. Also, changes that they made that frustrated us. Think about when they added all the category item specifics. Do you remember when that was? Was that 5 years ago? 4 years ago, 5 years ago, they added a ton of item specifics to categories and made them a requirement. And everyone's like, this is slowing me down. Why is this happening? That was for AI. That's for AI search. That's for computer vision search. So back then, when nobody else knew what was going on, they're already changing their systems because they had to. Now imagine if they didn't make those changes. I know it was painful at the time and nobody knew what was going on. And they have to operate in silence because, now they have competitors themselves, marketplaces, who didn't make those changes. Now they're suffering the effects of that because the technology has changed. eBay's caught up. eBay's largely caught up and leading. The others haven't even started yet. That's pretty incredible. I wouldn't have known that had I not talked to people like Travis the Brain and Super Dave, who have a deep understanding of the core technology and the programming and the back end required in these massive marketplaces. Specifically Travis the Brain, he's had a hand in building systems that are either adjacent to these marketplaces or operate with similar logic as these marketplaces. It's really incredible. MF Jig says, thank you for your answers. You are welcome, MF Jig. And I think with that, we are getting close to wrapping up, made it down to the bottom. But I will say that eBay's, eBay's eBay's, what's the word I'm looking for? I want to say magnanimous, but I don't know if that's the correct word. I don't think this is our correct word. But the fact that eBay makes their APIs open, so basically, hey, you can connect to our API if it works for your business, or you can connect to the production API and you can build something that will help our users, and we trust you to do it as long as you go through our trust, safety, and compliance measures, and you allow us to audit you and make sure you're doing what you say you're doing. That alone is something you don't see on other websites. There are a lot of sites that don't even have APIs. Like the site is not built out enough to even create those APIs. Not only does have APIs, they are constantly evolving on the back end to keep up with technology. Whereas a lot of other systems stay static because it's just so expensive to do the R&D and the innovation to keep that moving forward. So it's an opportunity where, we didn't see for the past 4 or 5 years what was going on. We didn't understand. We just saw things changing and we didn't know why. And it was really frustrating. Now it all makes sense. We went through all this pain. It makes sense now. Let's capture the value from it. Now we know why they did it. Now it's open season. It's the apple orchard is full of fruit. You've got an empty basket. Pick as much fruit as you want. We didn't understand why they were planting the orchard 4 years ago, 3 years ago, 2 years ago. Why are you planting all these trees? Now it's harvest time. So it's incredible. Skipping that, James. I'm skipping that. Lucky Fine says, are we able to add a video on Flex? There is one at List Easier U. I think James has the ability to put it in the chat if you'd like, because he's got a wrench. Lou says that the stock is going down. It's the market. I think every stock is going down when I looked at it today. It's been painful. It's been a painful little while. Where are we at here? I mean, it doesn't really matter to me. It's, this is also something they can't really control. Yeah. Can't control it. I don't know why it's down. Maybe they released something. I don't really know, but investors, if you're watching, we got eBay's back. Chilling in Tennessee, says Carly. Okay, everyone. Hope you're doing well. I hope you're capturing sales. I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Join me tomorrow where we talk about inflation and assets and business. It's going to be fun. It's only 20 or 30 minutes long. I'm doing a stand-up video, one take, so no editing or anything. That's tomorrow, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's just to show you all that I'm here. I'm here every single day. I'm committed. And then we'll see you again on a live video Friday. So recorded one tomorrow, live video Friday. Wish us luck in our meeting. Take care, everyone. and we'll see you